Welcome to the Connection Matters podcast. I'm your host, Leona Johnson. In this podcast, we explore the intricate weave of consciousness, empowerment, connection to the sacred, and cultural emergence. I believe that now, more than ever, we're being called to craft a new story, one of community, deep listening, creative potential, cultural repair, and an embodied understanding of the interconnected web of all things. Let's do the work together so that we can move forwards with authenticity and integrity, knowing that we're contributing to a healthy, regenerative culture for future generations. My mission with this podcast is to inspire and empower you to step into this vision for life. Each episode, I'll bring you thought-provoking conversations with leading voices in the field, but you'll also find solo episodes where I dive deep into my passion, connected self-leadership and everyday spirituality, giving you actionable tools to integrate into your daily life. Subscribe now on your favourite podcast platform if you haven't already, and if you enjoy the show, please share it with those who would appreciate it. It really helps when you do. You can also leave a review on Apple Podcasts to help others find us who might need that dose of hope and inspiration. Finally, to get notified straight into your inbox, feel free to sign up to the mailing list in the show notes below. This is also where I share weekly inspirational thoughts and any downloadable freebies that I talk about during the episode. My aim is to serve. I am so grateful that you are here. Hey beautiful humans, and welcome back to Connection Matters. Today I want to slow things right down because January has lots of opinions about how we are meant to begin the year, right? And most of them are loud and fast and not especially kind to our nervous systems. The world tells us that January is about fresh starts, which it is, it could be. But it also tells us that it's about big pushes and getting organised and setting goals and hitting the ground running. But nature tells a very different story. And if we're willing to listen, like really listen, there is so much wisdom here for how we begin things in a way that's sustainable and conscious and nourishing and that actually supports the lives that we're trying to build. So, in this episode, I want to explore what happens when we try to override winter's natural rhythms and what becomes possible when we work with them instead. I'll share what I'm noticing in the landscape around me right now and an experience from a recent online nature ceremony that I did and some reflections on why so many of us feel tired or foggy this time of year, and why that's not something to fix. My hope is that by the end of this episode, you will feel permission to begin this year differently, gently, and in relationship with the season that you're actually in. So let's start here with something that I think we all feel but don't always name. If you look around you right now, outside, wherever you live, if it's in the Northern Hemisphere at least, what do you see? Bare trees, low light, crispy leaves in the corners. It's very cool and clear and fresh. What's happening is sap is moving slowly, if at all, and nature is generally not rushing. Nothing is forcing growth. Nothing is panicking about being behind. Everything is preparing. And yet, so many of us are trying to override that reality. We're asking our bodies and our minds to operate as if it's April, when it's very clearly January. I see this everywhere. In inboxes full of New Year transformation offers, in social media posts about crushing goals and maximising momentum, in the subtle or not so subtle suggestion that if we're not already in full swing by now, we're somehow failing at the year. And I want to say this really gently because that narrative is not serving us. It's exhausting. So here's something gently radical to consider. What if January isn't asking us to begin fast, but to begin well? What if the wisdom isn't in the push, but in the pause? Just notice for a moment, if you're listening, where do you already feel pressure to be further ahead than you are? Where I live in West Yorkshire, January has a very particular quality. The light is low and blue, the air feels crisp, sometimes icy. There's a stillness that you can feel in your bones if you pause for long enough. This week, after running an online nature ceremony, which I'll tell you more about in a moment, I went for a really long walk around my valley. The sun was shining, the sky was that sharp winter blue where the icicles were clinging to the shady parts of the walls and they were sticking up, and I walked to the top of one of the fields on the tops I got there just as the sun was setting on the other side, on the opposite side, and I just stopped. I really stopped. Not the kind of stopping that we do while we're checking our phones or waiting for something else. The kind where you just let yourself land, where you let the landscape meet you. And in that stillness, something really simple dropped in. Not a plan, not a strategy, not a commitment, but simplicity. Not pushing, not forcing, just trusting that the people, for me, in my world, the people who are ready to come and work with me, they're going to come. And my job is just to keep showing up as myself, consistently, truthfully, in rhythm with the season. And in that knowing, my body relaxed immediately, my shoulders dropped, my breath deepened. And that's how I know something's aligned, not because it sounds good in my head, but because my body says yes. And I think that's one of the first teachings that winter offers us. How does that translate to your world? Your body knows the season that you're in, even if your mind is trying to convince you otherwise. So what is it that you need to allow? And let's talk about why so many people feel tired or foggy or flat in January, because it's a thing, right? But it's not a thing to be fixed. Winter naturally invites our nervous systems to downshift. Less light means less serotonin production. Shorter days mean our circadian rhythms are recalibrating. More time indoors often means less movement and less fresh air. This isn't dysfunction, it's biology. And yet we treat it like something's wrong with us. When we try to override our body's natural response to the season with pressure or caffeine or unrealistic expectations or guilt about not being productive enough, our systems push back. Motivation backfires. We feel heavy, resistant, or just numb. And then we start telling ourselves stories that we're lazy or unmotivated or not committed enough. And this is especially true for parents or carers or people who are holding a lot of responsibility, space holders, business owners. There's a real pressure, and you're already giving up so much. Your system's already stretched. And winter isn't asking you to expand, it's asking you to regulate, to come back into relationship with your body and your breath and the land beneath you. And here's the part that I really want you to hear. When we honour winter rhythms, clarity actually comes more easily, not less. It just comes quietly, not with big, dramatic revelations, but with a settled knowing, a gentle, yes, this that arises when we stop forcing. And I see it over and over again. People who allow themselves to slow down in January often find that by February they have more energy, more focus, and more aligned action than if they'd pushed through, because they're working with their systems, not against them. Earlier this week, I hosted an online nature ceremony, really because I really wanted to bring this energy into my community. It was 3 gorgeous hours with a gorgeous group of people who understand this language, people willing to relate not just with other humans, but with the more than human world too. And we didn't rush, we didn't perform, we listened. I asked people to step outside into their own local places, their gardens or their streets or the familiar bits of land near them, and just practice arriving, noticing, belonging. We used really simple connection practices, nothing complicated, just presence, just attention, relationship. And we talked about orientation rather than intention, and about listening before acting, about asking not what do I want to make happen, but what wants me this season? What is it that wants to come through me? Because that question changes everything. Suddenly we're not forcing our will onto life, but we're in conversation with it. What struck me most was the sense of the people afterwards, not hyped and not overwhelmed, but grounded, clear, connected. I think one of the people said, I feel like I can breathe again. And someone else said that they didn't realise how much they needed the permission to slow down. And that's the power of working with the land, with the seasons, instead of against it. So, what I thought I would do for this session is offer you a few very simple practices that you can weave into your life right now. These aren't about doing more, they're about relating differently to the day. So, number 1 is simple. It is literally to make sure that you go outside every day, briefly. This January, I have already committed to going outside every day, which, it's tricky if you work. I work from home, so it's easy to be cozy, get my fire on, do my stretching, do my yoga, do my connecting from here. But I know how important it is to get out. So some days it is a massive long walk, but sometimes it's just walking to the shop or around the block, even on the wettest days. Some days it's standing in the garden for 5 minutes with a cup of tea. And honestly, it's already made a difference. My mood is steadier, brighter. I feel so much more in sync with myself this season. And I do believe that it's the consistency that matters more than the duration. Like 5 minutes a few times a day will do more than an hour and a half once a week, So, number 2 that I thought I would invite you to join me in this season is notice the light. Pay attention to when the light changes, when it softens, when it fades. Right now, where I live, there's often this brief golden moment before sunset where everything feels suspended. Try and witness it. Not to photograph it, not to post about it, but just really notice the quality of everything just before the sun starts to hit the horizon and go down. because I really believe that time, that noticing, has a really powerful regulating effect. Number 3 is touch the earth, the invitation. Trees, stones, soil, walls, everything is the earth. So let your body remember that. Run your hand along a wall, place your palm on a tree. Feel the weight of a stone. I carry stones with me in my pockets and I'm always holding on, because these small acts ground us far more than you realise. And then number 4 that I was going to invite you into is to sit by the window. If that means clearing a space by the window and putting a chair there, intentionally, do it. Because sometimes the weather's harsh at this time of year and our time outside is limited, unless we're working outside all day. But even sitting by a window for some time during the day when we're not outside for the whole day, not with the phone, not multitasking, just noticing again, watching the clouds, the birds, the quality of the light. This really counts. It really does. There's research to say that it does. So these practices together support clarity because they bring us back into our bodies. And this is the kind of connected self-leadership that is rooted in integrity and wisdom. So I want to say it clearly. If you're feeling in a little bit of a funk or a bit slower or a little bit kind of foggy, you're not unmotivated, you're not failing, you're not behind, you're just wintering. And winter has its own intelligence. In nature, winter is a time of essential work happening beneath the surface. Roots deepening, energy gathering, life preparing quietly. Nothing is doing nothing, but nothing is rushing either. And some of the most important work happens in the dark, in the quiet, in the not yet visible. So if you're longing for more of that, then try out those suggestions. And if you want to call more of that into your life and live in a way that honours this relational seasonal choice in a supported way, this is the kind of awareness that we weave into everything that I offer, not as an idea, but as a lived practice. So if what I'm saying here is resonating and you're craving support to live this way, rather than just think about it, then the Life Compass curriculum is open for enrolment. And, people often tell me who do it that it gives them this sense of orientation, like having an inner map that they can return to when things wobble. It's a 6-month guided journey held in community, weaving in seasonal awareness, reflection, real-world integration across all of the 8 life areas. So for those who join this cycle, I'm also including a spring nature quest and a one-to-one deep dive with me. So you can find all the details about this in the show notes. Furthermore, if you would like to join me for a free webinar in a couple of weeks, you'll also find the link to the Finding Your True North session that I would love you to come and be part of. It's a bit more interactive than just listening. And whether or not you join anything, I want you to hear this. Beginning gently is not a weakness, it's wisdom. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Take good care of yourself and trust the season that you're in. Have a beautiful day. Thanks Thanks for tuning in to Connection Matters podcast. I hope today's episode inspired and empowered you to deepen your connection to yourself, others, and the world around you. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to subscribe, share it with those who might benefit, and leave a review. It really helps others to discover the podcast. You can also join our mailing list to stay updated with new episodes, inspiring thoughts, and free resources designed to support your journey. Together, we can build a more connected, compassionate world, one conversation at a time. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep creating the future that you want to live in. Go well, beautiful human.